What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Very, very happy and excited here to be here this morning myself. I really enjoyed yesterday's show. Looking forward for another one like it. By the way, as I was getting going this morning, reading all your comments, the music ended and I was ready to get going. But you know what? I needed to read much more. I love what you guys all share. It really sets the tone for me. I just really kind of like just vibe right into your vibe. Any thoughts on the Mt. Gox FUD? Yep, very well put. I think it's all FUD. I'm not worried about it whatsoever. By the way, if you were back and you had some type of Bitcoin exposure way back when Mt. Gox went down, by now you probably have really have come to understand Bitcoin, and I don't think at this point in the cycle that you would be looking to sell. Now, of course, if all those coins were returned to their use, I think it's 140,000 Bitcoins. If that's not correct, someone put the correct number inside the chat. I believe it's 140,000. I could be off. That's a lot of Bitcoin. Of course, there would be some people who obviously need money and, they're in debt. They need to pay bills. They would do that. Too loud. Let me step back a second. How's that? Test. It's a new mic. Hold on one second. Let me get a test from you all. Boom. How does that sound? Does that sound better right now? I'm just going to give a second before I keep going. Could someone give me whether or not, I'm just going to talk for a second. The setting's too high, not your distance. Just need to know. It sounds a bit weird, huh? Stick with me one second. I want to see if we could figure that out together. How does this sound right now? Does that sound too low now? Too high and buzzy? I think that the gain was way up. How about this? How does that sound? I took the gain all the way down. Does that sound a little bit better? It's the last thing, and if not, I'm going to have to go and set up just a different mic. All right, test. We got it now? Way better, too low, way better. I'm not sure. I think I got to turn this up over here. Guys, I'm going to start going now because I think we're okay. If we're not, let me know. Sorry about that. Good but quiet. I think we should be good now. I turned everything back up. I think we're good. Sorry about that. You see that? The flow was interrupted. We started crushing it. And then all of a sudden, you're always loud. Thanks, Andre. I appreciate that. Anyway. The Mt. Gox FUD. Let me start off from the beginning. I'm just going to start off. Happy to be here this morning with you all. I just want to say, this morning as I was reading all the comments and the intro music was finishing, I was like, you know what? I need a little bit more time here. I really, a little less buzzy, but volume's low. All right. Man, all right. I got all sorts of different people talking about the volume low, that it's fine, that it's good. If the volume is low on your end, then just turn up your volume. I think we're good to go now. I'm going to leave it as it is. I want to be able to go ahead and start. I felt like I started off with fire and then we got like derailed, but I'm going to jump back on this train and get going over here. The question was whether or not we should have is the Mt. Gox situation something to worry about, or is it FUD? In my opinion, it's just a bunch of FUD. I'm not worried about it at all. It's a lot of Bitcoin. I believe it's 140,000 Bitcoin. If my number's off, someone please correct me. I would like to know the exact number. I'm not really that concerned about it. The people who are holding Bitcoin when Mt. Gox went under, they've been in this space now for a long time. And even if they weren't educated back then, they are by now. I don't think at this point in the cycle, they're going to be looking to sell Bitcoin. Obviously, there's a bunch of people who are looking to buy that Bitcoin regardless. There will be a portion of people who need to sell because they have maybe debt, they have expenses they need to meet, but it's not something I'm worried about. I think it's only fuzz. Fuzzy is now clear. All right. Bitcoin is going up. Bitcoin sold off this morning, right? By the way, let's start off with the equity markets, which are just continuing to melt up. Some people don't think this is a melt up. That's fine, but we are off 15% off the lows over here in a matter of about, 30 days. I would consider that to be a minor melt up. Now, there are other periods where Bitcoin has made similar gains. We're not going to talk about the March low over here, but we could go back to the December low back in 2019, 2018. From here, Bitcoin rallied 15% and then rallied what looks like another 15%. It's not that this move can't keep going over here. However, we are coming to a point where you all know that I think that the risk is not there. I'm worried. I think that anyone who has stop losses in now, those that got positioned, whether it was down over here or over here, when the Nasdaq also started confirming, at this point, you got the momentum, but be careful over here. Make sure you have your stop losses there to protect yourself. The markets, in my opinion, have become very risky. Now, sorry about that. So let's keep going over here. There's a lot I want to talk about. It's actually a really good session that I put together in my head, so I want to keep going over there. So let's go over to the DXY really quick, and we could see that not selling off. It's down today again. That pressure remains on the DXY. We ran into some type of discussion yesterday about whether or not we were going to see a $900 billion stimulus package passed, and then again, it was the same side. It's all or nothing. They're playing games with the people, and it's not happening again. Whether or not that continues to be a headline, we'll see. At the end of the day, people are suffering. At the end of the day, I showed you that in 2021, there's going to be $315 billion of central bank purchases in QE a month. That is astonishing. And that's the Federal Reserve is the highest at $120 billion a month, with the ECB at 118 shortly thereafter it. Bitcoin overnight, and I have a few things that I want to show you today. This was shared, I believe, by Ron, the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and then Heath gave a short-term view of what's going on over here. We're going to look at that. Alan took a look at DOT over here. You could see it breaking out above the trend line. We could see over here, this is XRP. Look at that clean setup. Alan also shared. I want to get into all of that with you. Look at natural gas. I want to definitely look at some Bitcoin. Let's call it, candy. Some Bitcoin candy over here. And I want to put that all together for you. And then I want to show you my view on Raoul Pal over here and how it reminds me over here of this scene in the Facebook. So we're going to get going over there. Just trying to get back into it. Right? Boom, boom, boom. Do I think that all the QE is priced in? Well, it's not priced into the fact that as much as QE was deployed this year, right? We're looking for that same pace next year. So no, I don't think that it's the Kips. Could you do me a favor, Kips? Could you please go to conquertrades.com after this stream or during this stream? And could you go to the web form and could you just send me an email with subject line Kips? Thanks very much. I do appreciate that very much. Let's start there, Kaya. Let's move over to the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at it. By the way, this Australian dollar, Japanese yen trade now really taking off, beginning to fly. Beautiful. I'll look at that with you in a minute. And then the only trade that I had flagged yesterday was the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. That also it's awesome when trades short over here, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. It's awesome when trades upon entry really start taking off. So you're looking at the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, and you know that the Canadian dollar has been a little bit helped by the recovery in oil, right? If you look at WTI this morning and trying to get a feel for where it's trading at, and it's $46. So that's one thing. But Kaya, what I see on this chart is that this isn't an uptrend. All right. Now, one of I haven't spoke about it in a long time, but one of the the primary investing 101, trading 101, I should say trading 101 rules is that in uptrends only buy off support, and in downtrends only sell off resistance. If you get this is kind of picking a top over here. Now, before I do say that, let me come back over here and get a larger view. And would I say that's a downtrend? I would not say that's a downtrend either. I would also say that we are still in an uptrend over here. So I can't really make the case for going short over here. And if I were going short, I kind of breaking my core rules, the core values over here of being a successful swing trader. I wouldn't be looking at it. The worst thing that could probably happen in this case would be that if you took a short here and this trade went in your favor, because that would be subconsciously affirming in your brain that it's okay in uptrends to take short trades. That's not something that you want to be looking to do. So enough said, point made. But just really want you to focus here on uptrends, looking to buy off support. In downtrends, looking to sell off resistance. Okay. So if you're taking Kaya, if you want to go look at the CTM recommended playlist, and you are looking at first pullback trades, and if you want to call that a first pullback trade, if it is, let's take a look together, just really quick. Then that's another thing. But nevertheless, I don't see it. Yeah, that CCI to me is kind of sideways and also positive. Now, the CCI is great. Right, the true trend is fantastic. It's using the 70 period for the trend CCI and the 3 period over here. However, you know what? You should be able to eyeball this and see that we're in an uptrend. You can see the CCI is bouncing over here. It is now positive. Just be careful on that. It's not criticism at all. On the other act, it's not criticism at all. That's all it is. It's just taking you by the shoulder and trying to help you. That's all it is. Right? Let's keep going over here. Let's look at Bitcoin this morning and get into crypto a little bit before we get into FX. And so what I'm looking at, first of all, happening right now, I woke up in the middle of the night. The kids were crying. I don't know what time it was. It was like 2:30 in the morning. I look at the Bitcoin chart like any good investor would do, right? What do? You wake up in the middle of the night, you look at your cell phone, you look at TradingView. And I see that Bitcoin was down over here, somewhere around the low over here, around 17,650. And I said, oh, wow, looks like we're breaking down below this area of support. Probably I'm going to wake up, or tomorrow we could be looking at 16,800. Instead, I woke up and you can see on the daily here that this is just a wick. We never closed down below here. Right now, though, what is happening here on a let's call it a micro level, right? 8 hour for Bitcoin these days is the micro level. You could see that right now we're coming into this bit of resistance. Now, I am quite bullish. The price action is very bullish overnight. And I have that bullish leaning towards over here, right? I did a couple of things. I don't want to confuse you all because it would be confusing for you all. But yesterday, after we took out this line over here, I unloaded a few positions over here, right? I wasn't even looking to add to them on the way down. Instead, I was looking to add to them if they came back up and traded above 18,900 and change. Okay, I just wanted, if we were coming down, just to lighten up a little bit. And then if we started resuming up, get back fully positioned, just to show that I am, or explain how bullish I am. After I saw that we were up here somewhere around 8,200, I don't know what it was exactly, but when I woke up this morning and we had recovered this line, I came back over here and I added those positions back in. That's not to say that I made money on the trade. That wasn't the objective, right? The objective was, if we're coming down, just lighten up a little bit, come back over here. But right now we are into a little bit of resistance. Watch out. We do need to clear this to the upside. If we're rejected here, that's not a good sign. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm quite bullish, but just be aware that we are coming back. You see that broken little trend line over here. Here it was resistance, and then over here it held that support, and then over here it held that support again. Watch to see whether or not this is where we're rejected or we reclaim this. If we do reclaim this little bit of area, it looks like the next little bit of noise we have to overcome is this little trend line over here. Right? which also coincides with our resistance trend line over there. A break above that sends Bitcoin. So everyone should have their little micro levels now on Bitcoin. If we're rejected here, right? If we are rejected by this little bit of resistance over here and start trading off, again, same line to worry about is that line over there. Trading below that would be very negative there on Bitcoin. Ethereum is pumping this morning. Nothing else to say. It's leading the charge over here. We like that a lot. Everyone should be able to see this little bit of you see that trend line over there. So that's nice. There's nothing else to say, right? It's a matter of time, in my opinion, before we take out 621. You do see Ethereum, Bitcoin running today as well. And not only that, you know, I've been tracking this trade with you. It was Alan and Brandon who first brought it to the attention over here in this descending wedge over there. It then bursted out. Their timing was impeccable, right? And now over here, you could see that we've came in and we've tested this area of support again, and now resuming off of it. That is the trade right there. And let's see what happens. Again, I think it's a matter of time before we take out that level. This brings up just an important, I forgot who it was on tomorrow's training session. Someone had the idea of us looking at all past trades during 2020, looking at some of the really good ones, and then pinpointing then if there was anything that was indicating at the time that those were particularly good trades. In reflecting on that, in thinking on that, I just want to add something to all of you. Jordan, could you draw the same trend line you drew in Ether? Let's see. Is there a trend line? Yeah, for sure. Great work. Oh, great. Yeah, 100%. Look at this. You ready? Got everyone. Who said that, by the way? This is really funny. Check this out. You ready? Here's what I'm going back to that Bitcoin chart. You're asking if we could draw in the same trend line over there. I want you to see what I'm gonna click on this line right over here and make it darker. Look at that. You ready? I drew that line in last night before we touched down over here. How funny is that? But that's not for me. That line is not for me. This line, actually, I was watching a video on Data Dash's channel. Data Dash. And Data Dash had that trend line drawn in. I drew it on my chart just to take a look at it, right? And look at that. He caught the low. I didn't really see it. I didn't like the angle of it. Look at that. It caught the low right there. Highly relevant. I'm glad you brought that up. That's Data Dash, by the way. If you're interested in some crypto projects, he's a good channel to take it out. That's right. You got to always give credit, of course. We want to build everyone up. We want to keep all of us moving forward, growing, sharing together. The more that everyone around us grows and adds more to the conversation, the better it helps us. But let me just take a quick break, 1 second, just to show you this chart over here of natural gas. This was on Zero Hedge this morning. The Widowmaker lives up to its name. I had no idea that natural gas was caused the Widowmaker. But I thought that was shorting the Japanese bond market. I don't know. But this is another Widowmaker over here. And you could see that because we're seeing the winter, 25% of the winter is over, and the temperatures have been quite mild, that natural gas has been selling off. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that when everyone is kept asking to check out natural gas, you know, I didn't really see it, right? It's not a market that I like to focus in on. However, right over here this morning, as we're getting like negative headlines, by the time the rest of the street finds out about it, the opportunity is over here, and then you see actually natural gas coming into this trend line and bouncing off of that support area. I don't mean to be counter trend over here, but maybe that's the time to pick up along. That's not even counter trend. We are in an uptrend. If I was looking to take a poke at going long on natural gas, this morning is over here would be the time that I would do it. It's massively volatile. Take it off your watch list. It's not something that you're right. You all know it's come up many times where people want to look at natural gas, and I'm always like, why? All right, so that's awesome. The Conflicted Canuck, love the name. Yeah, we'll look at gold. Let's look at gold now before we get into the rest. And we have a lot to cover. I feel like we've barely even gotten started yet this morning. But everyone should have their really good bearings here right now on Bitcoin at least. So there you go. This is gold. Everyone knows I had added in that 1875 resistance line and said that we were coming straight up into it. I said it was light resistance. That's what's held almost to the dollar over there. And now we've had this controlled pullback into this area, this golden area of support. Why was it golden area? On the way up, look at that. That was resistance here and resistance there. You could see that area, and we shot up past them all, but are now pulling back into that. Now is the time to be watching gold. Gold is actually green lit here. Pretty clear. Watch what happens if you resume off of this area over here. This is an area of support. This is the time to be looking for an entry now on gold. Looks good. What about silver? Silver, a lot of the same, right? Silver, a lot of the same. It looks a little bit murky, but no, but I can lean off the gold chart for sure. Same exact thing is happening. We're pulling back now into this area. Follow my mouse over here, this area of support. I think gold is the trade right now, though, if it resumes off of there, right? 25 is incoming. Maybe we'll see. It's nice to be excited about the moves. Let's see what else is going on over here. There's other things that I wanted to check out before I leave Bitcoin. Let me start with this. This is going to be a bit of like Bitcoin candy chart over here. Right over here, we have the Bit Harrington. Right? That's a cool chart. The Bit Harrington over here, he's overlaying the 2017 halving pattern with the 2021 chart pattern over here. And this is potentially, if the two patterns were to play out together, what we could be looking at potentially here with the price of Bitcoin. However, just keep in mind one thing over here, and this is important. By the way, do you remember I said in January is when we could be seeing, I said it yesterday's live stream, is when we could be seeing that pullback. Watch out for that. But here's one difference is that this, if you're looking at comparing the cycles from the halving point, right, this cycle is looking like it's going to be shorter, right, in my opinion. Also, September 21st, that's the time period I put in to watch out for a peak. That's taking the low of the cycle to the halving, less 2% in the amount of days. It worked in the first cycle. It worked in the second. I assume it's going to work here in the third. We don't know. However, if you look at from where the low, the bottom of the cycle was, this cycle is mirroring last cycle pretty closely. Okay, so that's something to just be aware of. If you look at from the halving, we're in a shorter cycle right now, and if you look out from the low of the cycle, which is generally 15 months into the halving, that we're kind of mirroring, or we're pretty close to the trajectory of the last cycle, right? Listen, Angar, see you later, buddy. First and only warning, you're gone. We don't want you here. Later. All right, buddy. Is it a bot or is it or there's another one here, Brandon, too? Hold on. I mean, anyway. See ya. Yeah, I'm going to just take a second here and ban all these bots. I guess someone felt like they wanted to deploy a bunch of bots over here. And instead of us just kind of ignoring them, I'm going to get rid of them. So just give me 1 second. It's not killing the vibe over there. You got to be tougher than that, you know? You got to be strong. We'll get rid of them. All right. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that very much. Oh, man, I'm sorry. This is funny. We have a couple of mods in here. Listen, it's not possible to keep up with those bots. I'm trying myself to delete a few of them, and it's not possible. So You were not the bot, but you're gone anyway. Yeah, I don't know if I could disable the comments. I think what we could do though is let them go. I could go back later and try to get rid of as many as I can, delete them from the channel. Anyway, let's keep going over here. What I was talking about, if you're comparing the bottom of the cycles to here, we're kind of matching the last cycle, the second cycle. And if you use the halving event, this is a shorter cycle. Watch out. Again, I said it's chart candy, but it is, and it's fun to look at. People ask why I don't look at the log scale or trade off a log scale. It's a question that comes up a lot. I'm wondering if you're seeing a lot of other YouTubers using log scales. Traders don't use log scales. I mean, it's fun to look at the log scale, right? At the chart of Bitcoin, and you've seen me put up charts on the log scale of Bitcoin to look at Bitcoin. If you look at its full price history, if you pull up Brave New Coin over there and look at the full price history. But for traders, at least any professional traders I know outside myself, they don't use the log scale to trade. As a matter of fact, they'll always be the first to say, get off the log scale. We are human. Oh, yeah? See ya. Give me the matcha. Right? Log scale is good for penny stocks. Yep. Samuel, see you going. I don't care if you're a human or a bot. Can you imagine how pathetic your life would be that instead of building something, instead of creating something, instead of giving something, you're just like in some chat being like, we are human. Anyway, let's keep going over there. Yeah, we looked at gold and silver. If you did miss that chain, go back and look at them. Gold looks like it's a very, yes, for looking back and comparing, not for trading. Anyway, what's been going on today? We've had like two things try to knock us off our flow today. Nevertheless, I'm going to find back into it, and I'm going to claw back into it. Let's look at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. You could see over here, this was shared this morning. This is this channel that you could see, and I'm going to show you Heath's view of it in 1 second. It's a very clean looking channel. If I had this on my chart though, I would clone this line right here, right? And I would touch it to right here, this channel, and see if it's providing resistance right where we are right now. I'd be watching out for that. Now, if you zoom in and just focus on what's in front of you, what Heath added over here, right, is that if you get a retest back into this little area, this is local resistance, which is broken. And if you extend that line, you could also see some also resistance over there. That should now be support, right? A pullback over here into this area. That could be setting up the next trade on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I do want to look at Allen's dot because this setup over here looks quite beautiful, right? We love those trend line breaks over here. This is as clean as can be. It looks like this morning Ethereum leading. We're seeing alts leading. This looks like something to watch over here for those that are I'll call it day trading, but swing trading on the altcoins over here. And then you could also see that same trend line here on Kraken. This is also on the 8-hour. I love this type. This is very clean. Look at the breakout, the perfect retest into the trend line and also into the horizontal support. Alan, thanks for sharing this. A resumption up over here, giving a nice clean entry on XRP. Now, look over here on XRP. This is also the weekly chart. Again, you're seeing that same thing play out over here. What Alan was adding this morning, by the way, is look at this area over here. Look at this box. Look at this resistance line, that red line right over here. The last time that we made, or this time when we came above that resistance on the weekly, look how we ripped. I call it rip on XRP, right? Because a Ripple, it's really Ripple. They just changed the name to XRP because they thought that would not make them a security. Anyway, and then over here, again, the same thing happened. There's that same line of resistance. This is the weekly chart. Look, after we broke it, a similar rip off that same line over here. And now here we are again approaching off of this setup over here. That's the red line over here, by the way. We're now approaching that area after the consolidation, the rejection of the resistance, the consolidation, the breakout, the retest, and now looking for that resumption. Some good trades to point out over there. Technical analysis is actually very Beautiful. Litecoin, Bitcoin finds some support. I'm seeing that across the markets. I'm seeing that it looks like all coins are getting ready here to make a move, and it's all good. It's all healthy. Is that some support down there? Yeah, you could see that very clearly. You could just look at my mouse. I'll zoom in a little bit. I'm focused right there on the resistance first. And then if I look to the left, I see that same area is support. And I look to the right, it looks like we just found some support right there as well. Nice look over there, YP. I'm looking Turkish bots. They're strong bots. Take a look at the chart. Yep, Turkish bots are the best spots. That's true. IB is using TradingView now. I did not know about that. That might actually make me open up an account again at Interactive Brokers. When I used Interactive Brokers, by the way, in 2001, they didn't even have a charting platform. You had to use third-party charting platforms connected to IB data. Right? So what else are we looking at? All right. I want to take a look at this with everyone right over here. This morning I'm watching this Anthony Pompolano video with Raul Powell, and I still want to listen to the whole thing. I skipped some parts. I love how they break down the chapters over here so you could find the section that you want to listen to over here. By the way, 160,000 views. Anthony Pompolano just continues to bang out some amazing content. I love, depending on who he speaks with, how he's able to enter into that conversation with that person on their level. Highly respect all the work and the work ethic that Anthony puts out. It's incredible. In this video over here, I'm going to play it for you really quick, about 30 seconds. Raul Powell is talking about the fact, right? He's talking about the fact over here that, listen, Bitcoiners, and if you've ever read any of Raul's inside research, it basically just regurgitates all of the work that Bitcoiners have put out over the past 10 years, using the same terminology, using all of the same arguments, and just repackage it, right? You got to give credit where credit is due, no question about that. What I'm getting at over here is that it is Bitcoiners, it is retail who has bought Bitcoin to where it is in this moment, Pac-Man eating the whole world. It is not institutional investors, right? It is not funds. It is not public companies. It has only been me and you, retail traders, right? Now, Raul goes on to say over here that, listen, look, like once Bitcoin becomes $1 trillion asset, every single fund is going to have no choice but to get into it, right? And it could become a $5 trillion asset really quick because of the supply limitations on Bitcoin. And he's saying, but we don't speak their language. Bitcoiners don't speak their language. So you know what? Let me take it from here, guys. I know how to speak their language. I'm going to go ahead and I'm putting out new content. I'm taking all of the work that you've done forever, and I'm not sourcing it or giving credit, and I'm just going to speak their language. Boys, let me take it from here. And then I'm going to play this video from here. If you've ever seen the Facebook, the social network, right? This is the conversation when Justin Timberlake's character, who was, I forgot his name, and he's sitting down with Mark and he's like, listen, what the VCs in Silicon Valley are going to want to do is they're going to want to take your company and they're going to want to say, thanks, kid, we'll take it from here. But this time, Mark, you're going to say, no, I'm the CEO. Watch this over here. See what you think about it. That's what I think about it.
So at $100 billion, nobody cared. At $300 billion, it matters. At $1 trillion, I need to be involved. So suddenly, if it's $1 trillion, I need to be involved with the supply constraints in this thing. It's a $5 trillion asset before you know it. So that is going on. They are all having the conversation, but this is what I've been talking about, and I'm doing something about it myself now, is this community doesn't speak the language of those people. It's like me screaming at you in French. And you're like, I don't understand you. We've got to stop speaking in terms of Bitcoin philosophy and all of this stuff if you want adoption. If you don't and you just want to talk about that stuff, that's fine too.
So a little bit of a contradiction. He just said at $1 trillion that institutions are going to have no choice but to adopt a Bitcoin. And then he says, listen, if you don't speak their language, then they're not going to come in. It seems like a huge contradiction. But let's look over here at what happened during the social network.
And they're going to be scared of you. What the VCs wanted to say, good idea, kid. bitch.
And that's where we are. I see the similarities to me are just too striking. We have over here Raul just being like, look, either way. Anyway, that's my opinion over there. Whether you feel like that or not, I don't know. Could you seriously be comparing Facebook stock to the world where it goes? No, GG. No one compared Facebook stock to Bitcoin or even close to it. That's not what just took place in that conversation. And if you missed that somehow, do watch it again. But it's funny. All right. Did I see? No, I did not see that at all. I think that Benjamin is quite wrong. I entertained his opinion for about everyone saw for about 12 hours or so. And I don't think that he's correct. I think that we're looking at a shortening cycle over here, not a lengthening cycle. Look, we'll find out soon who's right and who's wrong. But, he is a nuclear engineer. So he should have that. So, yeah, I guess it's great content if you're right, and it's not so great if you're wrong. So Raul's afraid to get on the show for some reason. I don't have, at this point, you know what? I'm going to make a stand here. You all know for a long time, for a year now, that I've said a lot how I enjoy listening to Raul. That's not going to change whatsoever. But there's a lot that I don't like about what is being said by Raul. And that also comes about his stance versus those within the community, call them maxis or not, whatever, those who have built the community. And you know what? He comes from the standpoint that, like, listen, no one could tell me that XRP is a scam. And if someone's going to tell me that it is a pile of whatever, well, and then that's going to make me look at it, and then I'll make up my own mind. What's taken him so long to realize what's going on? Because it's been not weeks, it's been months, right? And he's never come out and said anything. What he's looking to do is to bring as much viewers into Real Vision. And in order to do that, he's got to be like hospitable to everybody. And I don't respect that. That's all. Samuel, no need to apologize. I'm glad you're here right now with us. That's all. Let's keep going over here. So far this morning, we're seeing Bitcoin right into that little bit of resistance. I'm not saying that that's where we're going to get rejected. I'm saying watch out for that. And if we are rejected, if we start making lower lows off that and trade back below this 18,100 level, watch out. Then I think because of adding this data dash trend line over here, which we peaked out below, this is the line that we all need to watch out for, instead of what I said over here. Instead of what I said over here at 18,100, obviously this trend line is playing a larger role. This is where we peaked out this morning. This is the line to watch. See, there you go right there. I have no desire to be right. I only want to be correct. I just want to be on the right side. Yes, it's a great interview, and I want to watch the rest. Yep. So, what else do we got over there? Do you see cycles like we see in Bitcoin and other markets? No, see, the whole thing hard forky about Bitcode. Other markets are not coded. Bitcoin is coded, and it's actually because of the halving. That's why we call it the 4-year cycle, because every 4 years is the halving. It causes, on purpose, this boom, this bull phase, and then it also, on purpose, causes this bear market phase. So no, there is not another thing else that causes that I know of. Thank you, Juan. I had no idea. I feel like they tried to mess up our flow all day long. Is he trying to create controversy? Someone that's really good at that. I enjoy his podcast a lot. It's What Bitcoin Did's podcast, and I enjoy the flow of that podcast a lot. I know on Twitter he tries to create controversy on purpose to get a lot of traction. I don't think Raul's trying to create controversy. I think Raul is trying to get more Real Vision subscribers. That's where he makes the majority of his money. He's only looking, right? If he cuts off the XRP army, if he cuts off, Ethereum, then all of a sudden, he's not getting those subscribers that he wants to get in. That is in direct conflict with Bitcoin, right? That's why, the Bitcoin community has now turned on him. It's because it's in direct conflict. You have different incentives. Raul's incentives are to grow Real Vision. Bitcoiners are looking to change the world. There you go. Thank you, Keith, very much, just for giving me the shout out. I appreciate that very much for letting me know. Listen, I have to say the most joy I've received over and over again this year is when things like that are shared with me, Keith. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So what else? There's a video on my Bitcoin playlist on this channel that talks about Bitcoin is basically a 416 leverage position of the equity markets. You can look at that. Did he call Raul long? He wasn't, because there's no community around it. You know what? Kips, I don't think you saw it, but yesterday, the last 3 minutes of the afternoon update looked at your nickel and all industrial metals, looking at charts from Bloomberg charts on Zero Hedge. All right, what else? Yeah, Nasdaq is trading down today, but it's trading up. All indexes look healthy. There's no question about it. Look, that's just a little bit of a healthy pullback. You could see this if you extend this line over here from this channel that we were in, that I have highlighted, and just keep extending it up. This is where we are right now, right? And as long as you stay above that, that looks very healthy. This pullback right now so far is nothing to worry about. Someone mentioned one time, it was on Bitcoin. Bitcoin was up like 1 or 2%. And they were like, listen, every 10% move starts with 1%. That's the truth right there. But from a technical perspective over here, as long as we're above the top of this channel over here, it's very, very bullish, right? Everything is. So what else? Yeah, we looked at gold and we looked at silver. Gold is setting up for a nice buy this morning over here. You could see after this support line right here, this support line right here, which is still support right now on the daily time frame. If you look at it, it's got to close below that. But as long as if we hold over here and we zoom off of here, making those higher highs, that will set up a good opportunity to get into gold over here. If we break down over here and lose this level, well, at that point, then we would be looking for a bigger retrace. At that point, you would not even be looking for a long entry. At that point, the technical mojo has definitely subsided a little bit. You could also add over here this bit of it's very steep, but it's very relevant, that area, that trend line right there. And you could see right now, if we were able to hold this area today and start resuming off there is support right here. It's a lighter line. I hope you could see it on your chart as well. I'll make it a little bit darker. We're into that area of support. So, trading very nicely. Nothing else to say. Yes, great. Here, Kip's laying down the wisdom. Wish we could highlight these comments. That's why I guess I'm highlighting it right now. Pay attention to commodities in the near future with the pent-up demand and extreme stimulus. Is it time for alts to catch up? They're really behind. Alts are doing fantastic. Bitcoin is outperforming. Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin on the year. There's no question about it. Alt season just started, right, about a month ago. And we're looking here. Alts look great. Nothing else to say. They're all dependent on Bitcoin though. And if Bitcoin breaks down, this is the line over here, the data dash line. If we break down below it, then we'll be looking and watching for a bigger pullback. Someone asked if whether or not this 16% pullback and this 9% pullback would add up to a normal pullback. That's not how I do it. I'm looking for a pullback from the high. Any which way. The sound quality could be so much higher if you reduce the gain settings in your microphone. I have to play with that on my own. It's a brand new mic. My mic is at a different location in a different country. And this one I will have to fix in my own time. I can't do that with you right here today. When I had the gain up like this, people said it was terrible. I moved it back down like this, but I need to do that on my own. I can't do that. Why? Square keeps going to new all-time highs. PayPal, watch over the next few quarters as their revenue is drastically going to increase with all of those Bitcoin purchases. What else? We haven't looked at FX, and I want to do that right now. I want to start over here with what I was talking about earlier. I'm just going to put my chart over here on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar as I talk about it. But what I wanted to talk about was the question was back during this year, was there, listen, all right, here's the whole summary of it all. I won't say ever. It's extraordinarily rare that ahead of time that you know that a trade is going to be one of those trades that really is pushed. Now, when I say extremely rare, it is true in February of this year that became very clear against Swiss franc, riding Swiss franc pairs and Japanese yen pairs versus commodity pairs. That was very clear. That's an anomaly. That doesn't happen often. The majority of the time I get into a trade, I have no idea if that's going to be the trade that I wind up pushing and pushing and pushing because they all start the same. Every trade I enter, psychologically, I expect I'm just going to get stopped out. I have my risk in, whether it's 1% or a 0.5%, right? And I expect every trade I enter is going to get stopped out. That's not the case. It's not even close to it. But I have that mentality. It's really helpful. I'm not looking about where I'm exiting the trade on a take profit as I enter that trade at all. Every trade I go into, I'm going in with the mindset that I'm looking to push that trade. If I didn't do those two things, by the way, I would never get myself in the position where I have really pushed trades multiple levels and really ridden some good trades. Because if I didn't do that, I would be cutting those winners short all the time. There's really no way to know ahead of time which are going to be the trades that really go on to really just be pushed multiple levels. But if you're not have that same mindset, that same perspective that each trade you take, that's the only thing that you're looking to do, you're never going to get there. Very important wisdom. I think it's worth sharing with everyone. I hope it makes sense over there. Let's take a look back over there. Jordan, some have to lock in profit for Bitcoin. Profit is profit, especially when you double your. I don't know. That's not how I view things at all. I remember I was fully positioned, right around 9,500 with over 50% of my net worth into Bitcoin. That's up over 100%. There's no way that I'm going to lock in profit and pay capital gains on that or worse. And at this point of the cycle, I don't see it that way at all. There's no way over here, even up 100% on a massive trade that I would lock in any profit. I'm not going to pay tax on that, especially when then I'm looking at Bitcoin going roughly 7x from here, or if not more, in my opinion, from my analysis. Yep. Give your warning about phone numbers being, listen, that's a Peter. Thanks for the heads up over there. The amount of spammers out there are, as you saw today with all the bots, are absolutely just horrific, right? And on the YouTube channel, you'll see lots of comments. If you don't see Conquer Trading and Investing grayed out in the comments highlighted, it's not me. There are many people who take my profile picture, they make a channel, Conquer Trading and Investing, and their comment sharing a WhatsApp phone number. I will never, ever, 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 ever share my phone number with you. I will never invite you through a comment to make an investment. If I'm talking with you, it's right here live through the microphone. All right. But thanks for the heads up on that, Peter. I hope that everyone understands to be aware, right? Bots, all of it's weird. Yep. It's all crazy. Yeah. Big shout out over there to India. Of course. Beautiful. I've never had the opportunity. Well, it's not spam. Yes. All right. There you go. Sorry. It's like banning people today. So weird. I said invest in anti-bot technology and stocks. I like it. The bot's gone. What about your social security number? Absolutely. I will be sharing that all the time in comments, especially from accounts that are not mine. If you're ever wondering if it's my account, go ahead and click on the user and you could check the number of subscribers. But everyone should have like internet awareness security 101. Like don't click on links from people you don't know in emails. I mean, anyway, it is 2020. I think that everyone is pretty savvy. And just in case, I just want to give that heads up. Thank you, Peter, for letting us all know over there. So Data Dash would be someone that would be fun to have a conversation with. You guys all know Omar from Crypto News. I would really like to have a conversation with Omar, only because he is he's more into Ethereum than he is Bitcoin. So that would be a fun conversation to be able to explore and talk with people, who just who have been in the space for a long time, who are really up on what's going on and have different opinions, not looking to be like, I'm right, but looking to learn from the other person. those are conversations that I could get into. I really have no interest in talking with someone like Michael Seiler, who is awesome, and I love everything that he's doing, especially when he gets on CNBC, especially when he talks on Real Vision with Raul, especially when he talks with, but he has the same message over and over. There's nothing really there that I could learn from or add to the conversations about. So what else are we looking at? The GT3. Australian dollar, Japanese yen pair is just humming along today, right? You're not, so just basic rule of thumb, never, ever, ever be chasing momentum. You want to be preemptive of momentum. If you don't know how to do that, do go and pull up the true trend. Just search over here on indicators, true trend, right? And then find the true trend, conquer trading and investing. Add it to your chart over here. And what I mean by that is you could see over here right now, let me come to the 8 hour though first. Right over here, you can see this is the blue line over here. There's a video on the Forex playlist on the channel. 2 videos covering the true trend, how it works, how you could use it. When you're in an uptrend, when these histogram bars are above 0, green, like you're in an uptrend, right? When the entry CCI gets pulled back below it, that's like a rubber band snap back. And you're looking for price to make that resumption up as it did right over here. That's the entry over here. That's going to stop you from chasing momentum. But right over here, as you see, the entry CCI has been up here for, this is going on the 3rd bar. Price is now overbought in that uptrend. You would not want to enter long here. That's chasing price. And as you chase price, normally as you make that entry, it comes against you. So if you're the type of trader who's making entries and notice that they keep going against you, it's probably because you are chasing momentum instead of trying to be preemptive of it. So right now, though, on this on the 12 hour, I could kind of see a trend line over here. Are we into a channel over there? Right? Is that clean? Not really. I think it should look. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. All right, so it looks like we're into that resistance here this morning. That's not going to make me touch my position. However, it is going to make me go ahead and finally move my stop loss to break even. It's about 100 pips up. But it's time. Nevertheless, I'm not looking to take any profit. I'm not taking 15, 25% off. I'm just letting the full thing run over here. I would love for some stimulus to be announced over here. I would love to see this risk on continue over there. It works on all time frames, JC. It literally works the same on any time frame, whether that was the 15-minute or the 3-day. It really does. Let's check out the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. Let's get into all of FX over here. Not even 50% likes. What's going on, people? Do we even have anyone in here after all of the bot explosion? Yeah, we do. Thanks for being here. I don't have the true trend when I search for it. It's there for everyone. It's everyone has it. Machine shop. Try again. All right. Rogers hasn't a clue. Yeah. So Kips, I so strongly agree with this that it's unreasonable. Jim Rogers has a great track record, right? Long term, especially with the Quantum Fund working with George Soros. But this guy has been on the wrong side of the market here for the last 15 years. Is absolutely terrible, right? His timing, and he'll say his timing is the worst. I was listening to a George Gammon interview yesterday, and he's like, Jim Rogers is the best trader ever. He's my hero. And I was like, what are you? I couldn't even understand it. But I agree with you, Kips, 100%, right? Track and field. We looked at Bitcoin this morning towards the beginning of the stream. I love Jim Rogers. I just think he's the worst trader. And he says so too. So there you go. Swiss franc, Japanese yen. Is that an ascending wedge forming over here? Listen, you could look at this 2 ways. I want to show you both of them, right? You could look and right for the ascending wedge on both looks, that line there is relevant. Now over here, is this more of a channel that we're in? Or is this coming down to, what's going on today? Or what's going on over here to that spike? Is that more of what looks like an ascending wedge? I don't know. It could be either one of those things. If I was watching this, the Swiss franc, Japanese yen, I would have both of those looks on my chart at the same time, just in case, and just watch. Either way, if you get the breakdown, make sure that you're looking for that retest and then the resumption down. to get into that trade. Are you in an uptrend or a downtrend over here? Look, you're coming into some pretty heavy resistance over here. Really big, long-term, heavy resistance over here as you're, let's put that in over there. You're coming into really big, long-term, heavy resistance as you're making that possible ascending wedge and or rising channel into it. So that's a good trade to watch out for over there. Could we see any type of risk enter the market over the next week, right? I've been telling you, watch out during this particular time of the month. I know that normally, historically, the Santa Claus rally is in effect. It's normally just a nice, great period. Maybe that's what we're riding right now. However, I know people don't like to hear it. Like if you're sensitive, just close your ears for 10 seconds here. But there was a big lawsuit brought up yesterday by Texas. There were multiple other states who joined it. It's going before the Supreme Court. It's a big deal whether you want to think it is or not, and it could go either way. There is a huge risk event to worry about in the market. If we do enter risk off, you would see the Japanese yen bid against the Swiss franc. That's why I bring that all up to you. Rogers was good when with Soros, couldn't find evidence. Yeah, but Pure Vita, it's also true. His time preference is so big. For example, he's been long gold for a long time, so there's no question he's Jim Rogers. Gold is reacting to the rising dollar. Is the dollar now bid on the day? Dollar's unchanged on the day, slightly down. Is gold reacting off of that? Look at gold being dumped below that area. We said if it didn't hold, this trade was no longer valid. That's coming in. Are you coming into an area of support? Listen, I would back off completely right now. There's no need to get involved, and that's only simply because it does not look pretty anymore, right? You want your TA to look pretty. You're looking for things that stand out because they look good, they look clean. And there's so much opportunity in the market. Alan was showing us here, right? XRP, right? That looks good. That looks clean. DOT over here, that looks good. That looks clean. I was showing you yesterday and the few days leading up to it, Ethereum, Bitcoin. That looks good. That looks clean. That's where you want to stick with. Gold right now does not look good, does not look clean after losing that area of support over here at 1848 and then breaking below that trend line over there. Now, is it possible you get a spike up here and buy, over the next hour or so that is bid up? Yes. If that happens, will we look at it? Yeah. At that point, then we will be looking, to see what happens over here above 1860 and maybe then get involved. But right now, it just gave a negative signal. Is that because of the dollar? I do not think so. Why don't you think so, Jordan? Well, the dollar is down on the day. Gold is down on the day. If you notice that when gold made its gains the last few days, the dollar was rising, right? People get caught up in that correlation. The dollar was rising from December 3rd up until the 8th. And during that same period, December 3rd, right? December 3rd, right over here to the 8th, the dollar was also rising. So careful on that correlation. Okay. Yep. JP Morgan, that is true. Nothing else to say about that. Great comment over there. Yeah, that's true. Neil, is Jim focuses on fundamentals and value, not timing, right? If Jim, how old is Jim? He's getting up there. But if he would have spent any portion of his life studying technical analysis, could you imagine the trader that Jim would be, right? So you have like certain people that are like, oh, fundamental analysis. You have other people like, oh, technical analysis. I cannot understand how you could be in the markets and not be a student of both fundamental and technical. When you line up both, that's when everything happens, right? Russell, I remember when gold was trading around $1,200 down towards $1,100. This must have been back somewhere around 2018. That Jim was definitely a big proponent of gold back then. I do remember that. Zach, thanks for the shout out over there. Absolutely, Zach. It's very important, right? Shoot. So first of all, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There are some times that I don't feel like getting up to go ahead and do a video with you, and I don't have to, right? I don't have to. Now, one of the reasons, there are two reasons mainly. So one is selfish. There's no question that by spending all this time here, this extra time on the charts, it greatly benefits my own trading. Or maybe it was just because, 2020, we had a crisis and I excel under those conditions as I did back in 2008, right? But the other thing is that I do have a commitment to you. So no matter what, whether I feel like making a video in the afternoon or not, I'm going to do it because it's important for me to communicate with you. It's important. I do view you all not only as my friends, not only as my extended online family, but also as my flock. And it's very important to me. What else are we looking at? I haven't listened to Greg in almost a few years, right? I feel like he's always like, and much respect. And he's probably a good guy, not like that. But he's always like just full of fear. And I have to remove that not only from my life, but especially from my investing. Because again, you've heard it from me more, like the markets are not crashing, right? Everyone's always looking for that market crash, but really the markets are going up, right? And I could say, look, I was the first one there. In February over here, as the S&P started I was the first one over here selling this, right? And I rode this all the way down to the bottom, right? And then I picked the bottom on that. So that's all on the live streams over there. But the markets are not always like in a dire situation and crashing. Actually, the opposite is true. You all know when I gave that warning on Monday that the equities are risky over here. It's very rare that I say something like that. So stop loss hit on gold and silver. Beautiful, Mohammed. Beautiful getting out of that trade when you should get out of that trade and not holding on to hope. That right there, my friend, is great trading. Nice. Australian dollar, US dollar. We haven't even looked at FX. What is going on over here? I was going to focus in right now. I was getting drawn in. I wanted to focus in on all of your comments over there, but instead I'm going to focus on what's going on over there. Thank you, Jonathan. Look at Jonathan. Thank you for this comment over here. Gold is reacting to the US 10-year up 3.5%. Jonathan, spot on right there. Thank you for that. All right. There it is. Not in town. It's the only trade that matters. All right, let's look at it all. We're going to get to FX right now. This is Australian dollar, US dollar. We're seeing the dollar unchanged on the day. With that in mind, we're going to look at all the US dollar pairs over here. Australian dollar finally finding back its mojo, right, over the past week or so, really coming to the forefront over there. Look, there's no trade to be had over here right now, or it's one setting up on the Australian dollar, US dollar, but that would obviously be a retest of this broken resistance over here now. This channel, look at it. It's a pretty big line. That was all resistance. That was all support, right? Resistance again. A retest of that would set up the trade. I want to look at the rest of the US dollar pairs before we start looking around everywhere else. Sean, you threw me off. I don't know if Bitcoin's being rejected or not. Anyone who really wants to know exactly remember, as we got on this morning, I said, look, just watch this line over here. Watch to see if that's where we're rejected. That's what we're doing. I don't know that it will. I don't know that it won't. Watch that line. If we're rejected there and start making lower lows, that's bearish. But watch the data dash trend line. As long as we hold above that, we are bullish. A break below there, that would set up a negative event on Bitcoin. Now, it doesn't mean Bitcoin will dump. It doesn't mean Bitcoin will dump and take that 30% drawdown at all. It could go sideways and into this line of support right over there. So that will be the next line we watch. If Bitcoin breaks over there, we watch what happens here. If it loses this line over here, that's probably a bigger problem, and we're probably going down for that 30% drawdown. But right now, that we're just focus over here, Sean, and everyone else. Above here, super bullish. Below here, bearish. And that's where we are right now. It's a very easy, clean, clear read. Let me get back into FX over here. Euro US dollar. Let's take a look at what she's doing this morning. Interesting, right? This is still holding over here. It looked like you were trying to break out. And now you can see that we're back into this area of channel. Is there any longer term support to lean off of over there? I would just stand aside right now in the Euro US dollar. So I'm guessing this is going to be what we see across the board. This might be interesting. Let's see if now we're going to have an opportunity to pull back into this area over here. I just want to extend that line out a little bit. Right, we're coming right back in. Not this line is, by the way, minor. Don't pay too much attention to it, but do pay a lot of attention to that horizontal support. They are converging in the same area. That is set up over here for a possible watch list over there. And let me just take this one off as I'm into that trade, and it's now off the watch list. But New Zealand dollar, US dollar, possibly. Thomas said that the US dollar, Canadian dollar looks interesting. It definitely does. Let's go ahead and first, let me just show you on the longer time scale. This is the trend line over here, this green one over here, right? That was the one that the break above really set off this huge move. This was the dollar milkshake playing out, by the way. This was the dollar milkshake, right? So the dollar milkshake theory, I give it a hard time only because you can't hold on to it when it's not in play. If there is another liquidity crisis, of course the dollar milkshake is going to play it out. But there it is. We really, I rode this trade over here. There was so many good trades this year that I can't even pinpoint it. This was one of them. When we broke above that trend line over here, the retest and the resumption up, I think I started exiting over here at 1.35 and then way too early because I didn't expect that, but I think I was targeting 1.4. It was so many good trades. It's ridiculous. Now, with that in mind, we're finally back below that trend line that set off that whole trade. That's very bearish over here. If you zoom in over here, you could see that we've retested the line and resuming off, now printing or looking to print lows ever since back below that trend line. That is something over there in play and to watch out for. So speaking of dollar trades, is that one of the better ones? Right? We just looked at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar set up. This is set up, but I missed it. I did miss it. I want to keep watching it though. So don't chase trades just because you missed it. US dollar, Japanese yen, a bit of interesting over here, right? So do you see the hesitation in my voice though? And I still can't get a read on it. I do want to extend down this trend line over there, right? Maybe that's the play, getting back above that, waiting for that. That might be the smart play. And then my first eye was initially on this resistance over here at 104.36. Watch out for both of them. We're bearish on the dollar right now, but that could definitely change at any time, right? Euro US dollar. I love some vanilla milkshakes, that's for sure. DXY is now bid. Unchanged on the day. It's unchanged on the day right now. Euro US dollar we just looked at a second ago, not even 2 minutes ago, right? And so we just looked at that. The pound US dollar we haven't seen yet. Let's look at. So this is interesting. Do you all see that? Right? Look at the rejection of this trend line over here. Right? Look at also this right over here. This is sending wedge. This is the breakdown. This is the retest. That looks interesting to me. That looks very interesting to me. What is that? Nickel doesn't care about the dollar. Kips, if you missed it, definitely look at the oh wow, nickel's up 2% today, right? You remember this is when we gave it a lot of play right over there. Look at that. Look at this. This is the trend line right there. Let me zoom back out over here so you could see when we finally made the break over here, right? This is when it became very interesting. This was the first time that we looked to add. And then over here, this is 100% Kips trade. It's not even on my radar. This is 100% Kips trade. All right. And then we're just since this is the one that we look at on the 3-day because it's a long-term trade over here. It's riding up beautiful. And just to see, this is that new trend line over there. Once we broke above it, that set up the possible new next leg. this is what you're watching over here, right? As the take profit. Let me extend that over because it's coming in play. This is what you're watching over here as an area. Again, this is the 3-day because the time preference over here is longer. You're not looking for swing trades. Now you come down to the 8-hour to get into those longer position trades, as over here, set up that trade for us. But over here, watch out. Over there, that's the time to tighten up your position. All right. S&P. You guys are always like, it's breaking down. If the S&P was down right now, a 1.5%, 2%, I'd be like, yeah, it's breaking down. But the price is just fluctuating right now. Okay. Whether you look at the dollar right now, which is unchanged on the day, or you look at the S&P 500, which is basically unchanged on the day, it's not yet breaking down. All right. So that's important for your own mental situational awareness, because otherwise you're kind of trading from an emotional edge, not a strong place to be from, right? How many hours a day do I trade? I look at the markets in the morning with you all anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. I then look at them again for about 20 minutes in the afternoon, and then again for about 10 minutes before going to bed in Asia. So that's about, I guess, anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. And I think that's what it takes, right? You can, Mohammed. There is a video on the Forex playlist that talks about customizing time frames on MetaTrader 4. There are indicators, Mohammed, in that description of that video to help you set up the 8-hour chart. So go to the Forex playlist on the channel and look for in the title, custom time frame. So that's right, Brian. I mean, listen. So I don't know the investment bank that's on Tesla, but a few days before Tesla announced their new offering, they upgraded them, and the whole street was like, wait, why are they upgrading them now? Oh, 3 days later, because they were looking at an offering and they're looking to get retail traders to buy into it. Listen, anything an investment bank says, never listen to ever. For sure, they're not trying to help you. Do not listen at all to an investment bank ever. Sometimes I have, for sure. There's no question about it, Miguel. The alert feature, for sure. I've used that a lot, but not often. All right. What else are we looking at over here? Story of the day for sure. And see, gold DXY is unchanged. I want to keep going through FX. Actually, it seems like there's a wave coming in. That wave could be on the US dollar. I don't know yet. It can't be. The Japanese yen wave is already being ridden, right? So that there's not a new wave to set up over there. I don't even need to look at Japanese yen pairs riding that right now. What about some crosses? Let's look at that Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar trade over here. Let's see. We were looking at that this morning over here. This was trying to find the chart. This was the close look over here that Heath was like, listen, if you get the pullback into that local support and resume off, that's a good place to enter. This was the bigger perspective, I think, shared by Ron, showing the channel we're in. Let's look and see if that's something that might be of interest over there. Let me just go ahead and extend for our purposes over here. So you can see it over here where my mouse is. That area was support right there. It was resistance right there. That's the area that Heath is pointing out as some local support. If you pull back into and resume off, that is a good looking trade to watch out for. Let's keep monitoring it. And maybe even by tonight, that might be giving a signal. Watch out for that. So let's look at some other cross pairs as well and see what else is going on. Listen, I remember on Twitter as MicroStrategy bought that Bitcoin, someone was like, this was the worst mistake ever made. And I put on that this is the worst tweet of 2020, right? And now since then, Michael is up over 100% on his trade. He's gone from almost $500 million to $1 billion in reserves, and he's adding massively to that. There's no question Michael's going to be and look like a hero. Not only that, if you look at the top holdings of Bitcoin, Michael's in the top 10 in the world, or MicroStrategy is, and every other public company is going to eventually want that honor. Now, there are companies who have the capital to do that. such as, well, we know Uncle Warren does. We also know Apple does. By the time Apple starts buying into Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin is going to be a lot higher. Is it possible that MicroStrategy is forever going to have that honor of having the biggest Bitcoin position? It could be. So what are my thoughts on gold and silver miners? It's probably one of the most difficult sectors to invest in. You have to be an expert. And if you're not an expert, you should stay away or, look for an ETF. And you should check with experts. Stanbury Research, the former anchor of Kiko News, she's interviewing people in the space all the time. She's passionate about it. I would consider her an expert. Max Kaiser used to be an expert, right? He doesn't focus. For him, this guy used to be an expert on miners, and he's like, listen, the space is way too complicated. You don't know what type of political risks you're taking on because a country could ban or take over the mining operation. The management is so important. And, so unless you're an expert, I would stay away, right? Big ETF. There you go. So what else are we looking at? I'm trying to see if there's any other crosses offering opportunity. What's going on with the Euro New Zealand dollar? Clearly missed it. We were talking about this morning. You should be looking on downtrends to sell off resistance. Wasn't on my radar. I just want to scope around a little bit. Let me even check out all the pound pairs, right? Look at the pound Australian dollar coming down towards the end of this consolidation over here. We've seen the Australian dollar bid. The one wild card, and it's such a heavy wild card, is the pound. The pound was slightly bid today. That's coming off. If it looks like that, like Johnson's going to save the day. I don't know how much face. There's too many variables at this point in time over the next few weeks to get involved. I would wait for a resolution to see how the market reacts. And then I'm sure in early 2021, we're going to be spending a lot of time with the pound pairs, but I'm going to wait a little bit. What about the pound New Zealand dollar? Do you see the pound New Zealand dollar coming back up and testing this big area of resistance? Interesting, but I don't like all the noise down over here, and I wouldn't take a rejection into all of that noise personally. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. This is actually coming back down again, now giving a possible opportunity over here. Not so exciting though. I don't know. I think I get mostly lucky in my timing and in my trades. What's my thoughts on the initial $102 price per share on IPO for Airbnb? A couple of thoughts. The first thought is the two greatest mistakes I've ever made in my investment career were selling the Facebook IPO after buying it. Like thought I was a hero, made some money selling that within the same year. Same thing with Google. Both of those. And if I would have, I should have. No, I didn't. If I could take someone that's younger, like 18, 19, 20 years old, under 25, and I could give them one piece of investment advice, it would be to hold on to things for a long time, right? And Airbnb right over here, look, there's simply no demand for Airbnb right now. I think there could be. I don't know. Are people going to destination places and using Airbnb for that? It's quite possible. I don't know. That's the whole thing. And it's complicated. And unless you know, I would not make the investment. But it seems to me that it's a bit overpriced right now. Not only I don't know. It's not something attractive to me. Now, if you asked me if this whole COVID thing did not exist, would I be interested in the Airbnb IPO? Probably. No, I don't have any thoughts whatsoever on Theta at all. Yeah, they've been pushing up that share price because they know they get the money. But, is it going to be trading higher 5 years from now? I think that's the question you want to be asking yourself. If you're interested in the Airbnb IPO, is it going to be trading higher 5 years from now? Is it going to be trading higher 10 years from now? Is it going to be trading higher 20 years from now? And if you could answer yes to that, to all three of those time frames, then I think it seems like a good investment. Thank you, Tom. But look, it's not. Yeah, absolutely, Carlos. Vacation homes are a big deal right now, still because of COVID. I don't know anything about T0. Can we look at shorting TBT short bonds? Look, just because of the amount of QE, is this what are we looking at here? Who put the comment up there? Hold on one second. I saw a comment about could we look at I lost the comment. Well, if you give me the ticker, I'd be looking to do it. Nice. Airbnb's crushing it during the pandemic. So I don't know. Anyway, short bonds though. You know what? QE is obviously, when it comes to rates, it sends them down. Is now a time to be looking or continuing to short bonds, especially as we enter this so-called dark winter. Does anyone else get like really frightened when politicians use terms that other people, have put like certain narratives and connotations about? Like, does everyone just think that's coincidence? I don't. But they're talking about whether it is, whatever politicians. There's a couple of big ones. Mainly Dr. Fauci and Joe Biden talking about this dark winter that's coming upon us. And if we're looking at bigger, further lockdowns, yeah, I think being short bonds here continues to be a good play. So what else are we looking at? GBTC makes you want. Listen, if you're trading GBTC right now, by the way, we're seeing the premium come down massively, or what? I don't know how at all to factor in the variable premium on GBTC. The way that I invest in GBTC is simply I'm looking on 3 ways to trade Bitcoin. The first way, number one, right? I'm looking to buy GBTC in a retirement account, and I'm looking to hold on to that until it's time to sell, which is at the exit of the bull market. Look, the more, if an ETF is announced at some point this year, the more Bitcoin plays that you have in public markets, and MicroStrategy could be considered one of them now, right? You have QBTC in Canada. The further the premium is going to fall on Grayscale. Nevertheless, Grayscale, which is the largest Bitcoin holder in the world, is a really good play on Bitcoin itself in the long term. Turn down your gain. My eardrums are throbbing. Finance Hub, glad to join us. Thanks for your insight. I appreciate that, buddy. But you know what? We got on. It's a new mic. While we're on it. Anyway, go ahead. Actually, we'll just, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. All right. Watch out, the old caps, though. Screaming's hurting my ears. I don't like that. I don't like that. You make me uncomfortable. Oh, all right. I think I called that top tick here on Bitcoin this morning, but that was just to watch out for, right? Let's see over here on a smaller time frame. You're coming back down now. You can see that trend line right there forming, and you could see some local support that we're coming into right now. So just as I expected us to hold right there, I'm expecting us to hold over here on the upside. Now we're getting into day trading. We don't need to do that. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, brother. Yeah. So this is something that also that I'm a big proponent, something that I'm a big teacher of in the course, and that's stronger versus the weakness at the time of the trade. Kips, really, that's the way to do it. You always want to be looking for strength versus weakness. You don't want to be playing two things that are weak, right? And you don't want to be playing two things that are strong versus each other. Look to take advantage of that strength and weakness over here. Monero's been consolidating for quite a while over here. I didn't realize that it didn't make new yearly highs, but tested that high over there. This is probably the place right over here to take a position. I don't know. When I say I don't know, I really don't know. But that's a big, after that big run up, that's a big consolidation over here. It's getting ready for a big move. Again, Monero has a really good use case. It has a really good utility. My question is will they ever break it? And if they break it, will all past transactions then be on, trackable? So be careful. Simply the best thing to do is do not try to hide anything from the tax authorities, right? Yeah, we've looked at gold a couple of times today, and gold right now is breaking out this area over here of support. The first one was at 1856, and then below that at 1849. If it would have held 1849 and resumed up, it would have been a beautiful buy. Once it lost 1849 and this trend line over there, it's just simply time to get on the sidelines and just wait for this to get pretty again. It's not pretty again right now. I don't trade options. I've never traded an option in my entire career, 20-year career. I was thinking last night about possibly looking into some options on Bitcoin. And then with the options available, I said, you know what? I'm still going to keep that track record of never trading an option in my life, right? There's truth to that the ultimate privacy coin is gold and silver. This is true. You cannot track or trace any transfer of physical. Now, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to trade physical gold and silver. It's a lot harder to sell it, to buy it. But anyway, if you're looking for privacy, yeah, gold and silver is quite private. The information's there for those who are interested in it. That's for sure. The information is there. Thank you, Eduardo. Great to have you here with us, and thank you for letting me know. I didn't see any of the comments because we were looking at it, but I don't know what you all thought about my whole Raul and over here this social networks VCs trying to get in full control. I see a lot of the similarities going on over there. Yeah. Yes, Michael's as smart as could be. By the way, a lot of people are very confused. Adam, the convertible bond notes he's selling over there, the convertible bonds. That means if the price shares of MicroStrategy go up, those bondholders could then convert that into that equity. And if the price of MicroStrategy goes down, they could just hold on to their bonds. It's a win-win for any of those bondholders. And for Michael, it's obviously a win-win as well. I think it's absolutely brilliant. There's no question in the future, people will be looking back at Michael and his brilliance during this particular time in history. So with all that being said, thank you, Tammy. Thank you for saying that it's a great presentation. Glad to be just sharing with you all. WTI over here, you could see as the equity market is still unchanged, right? Remember, someone was saying that the S&P was selling off. I was like, no, it's unchanged. WTI right now, look, real above this 45. It looks very, very, very bullish. Any move back right into that area, which is happening right now, that sets up another trade right now. If you took this trade, this is a nice looking trade, by the way. Right over here, you could see that little bit of a channel of a bull flag, and that trade this morning during London was a great entry, a really good entry, right? Make sure you honor your stop if it does come down and take it out. But nevertheless, this area, any move back into it right now is happening right now. This is a breakout retest. Any resumption off here, if we get the resumption, that offers up an opportunity to get long on oil. Sam, that's it right there. That's it right there. Thank you very much, Matthew. Earlier as we got on, though, I was using a new mic, and there was definitely some issues, right? AOC is going to ban fossil fuels. Oh, I have seen his video to me, and he uses other people's ideas and presents it. Yeah, Well, that's all true. JC, I'm sorry that you got to miss this, but I loved it. Anyway, I was just showing over here that basically, to sum up what Raul was saying over here, he's saying that, listen, institutions don't speak the same language as Bitcoiners. I do. I'm going to take it from here, guys. And he also just went on to say, as Bitcoin trades to $1 trillion, every fund and institution will have no choice but to pay attention to it. So regardless whether or not they speak our language or not, they have no choice but to get into the trade. And then you're looking over here at this particular scene in the social network when I forget his name, but Timberlake's character is basically like to Mark, listen, what the VCs want is to go ahead to pat you on the back and say, nice job, kid. We're going to take it from here and take over the company as they've always done. Not this time, though. This time you're going to stay in control. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. I'm going to be honest. Bitcoin derangement syndrome is real. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. There's no way at all that Bitcoin needs anybody. And there's a lot of people. Roger Ver is one, who was really one of the greatest promoters and adopters of Bitcoin for a long time, who found out the hard way that Bitcoin does not need him whatsoever. So, Sean Parker. There he is. The great Sean Parker. Thank you for that. Yeah, you could just use the search engine, probably for real. There's so many good sites that go over chart patterns. You won't be able, you'll have your pick. And I would just look at 2 or 3, right? And you could just search what are the probability outcomes of a triangle pattern, and you'll get the exact probability. Eli, lots of love, brother. Thank you for that. We're going to end this over here looking at on Intel, as we tried to yesterday, and I never talked about it. And the reason being over here is, so what do you all think about the news that Apple is coming out with its own chips that will drastically outperform Intel? Interesting news, right? Is Intel the new, trying to think back in 2000, what was the big trade that everyone was into? And then Cisco Systems. Is Intel the new Cisco? You have to ask yourself that question. I don't have the answers to those questions at all, but what I do see is 2 things that are happening on this chart, right? The first one over here, you could see if I zoom out a little bit, right? You could see over here, is it up there? Starting over there, that's really big. That's the line in the sand, right? Intel trades below that, watch out. Obviously, Intel looks, as the markets do, very bullish over here. There was that trend line that we last tracked over there, but it looks like you're coming also up now to an area. See that? I can't do that. Let me come down to a daily time frame and just see if it's a little bit clearer for me or not. Yeah, I don't have a read. I can't tell if that's maybe an a descending triangle that's developing, or what's going. I don't have a read whatsoever. I would stay far away from it myself. Intel broke a long-term rising trend line, consolidated below, then moved above it. All right, everyone. How much do you trust accumulating Bitcoin versus PayPal for a year based in New York? If you're in New York, your options are obviously very limited, and PayPal is one of those options. If your time horizon, Dean, is only 1 year, and you're not looking to actually be in control of your Bitcoin, meaning hold your own keys, then PayPal is a perfect option. How much do I trust them? A lot more than I trust a lot of other things, right? I trust PayPal a lot more than I would trust, Bank ABC. So yeah, I would feel perfectly confident in that trade myself. In the same way that I feel confident, having funds on BlockFi, that I would feel as confident having funds on Gemini. Coinbase, yes, but no. And Binance, a lot of confidence. These derivative exchanges like BitMEX, I would feel confident, right? BitMEX, by the way, right? What did they do? They normally only have withdrawals once a day. As soon as the U.S. government slapped some lawsuits on them and kidnapped one of their executives, what did they do is they sped up their withdrawals and kept processing those with their withdrawals. Yeah, I feel very confident about that. All right, everyone, let's go out with some music over there. Kips was absolutely on fire today with his wisdom, so we're going to play some Autumn. Thanks, Helen. I loved it. I do appreciate it. Thank you for that. Thanks for highlighting what was important there, Gemma, today. Right? And that was very important. Thank you, Al. I had to stop the music 1 second. Listen, Craig, this comment is kind of really important. And the reason I say that is because, look, part of the reason that I gravitated towards the 8 hour, number one, is because it is the most effective, but because it gives that high quality of life. You're not glued to the screen. It's very important. I like what you're saying about scaling back on screen time. I think it's really important. There's a lot of information out of there, almost information overload, and we just really want to focus on what is most important. Really good insight over there. Yes. Wes, that was impossible to keep up with. Here we go, bringing the funk. What's up, Lucas? We do. All right, everybody. Have the most beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later. Kips, please email me. I'll talk to you later.